Hello everyone, this is Namita Agarwal from Career Santa, and with me is Professor Fleur Fernandez from SIES College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. Today we are here to discuss on the topic jobs and internships for 2020-2021 batch, steering the bumpy road ahead. To introduce myself in detail, I am Namita Agarwal, CACS LLB and founder of CareerSanta.com, which is India's first dedicated portal for jobs, internships, and skill development courses for commerce professionals being CACS, BCom, BMS, BAF, BBI, and so on. We also facilitate campus placements across colleges in Mumbai, and in last few years, we are happy to help more than 10,000 students in different colleges in Mumbai. I would like to ask Fleur ma'am to discuss the points which we will be covering today.
Hello everyone. Our key discussion points for today are understanding of the job and internship market pre and post COVID-19, how to become corporate ready, and how can one adapt in these changing times. So our session for today is likely to go about for 30 to 40 minutes. So without further ado, Namita, at Career Santa, you have been helping students with jobs and internships for the past few years. How was the placement and summer internship season for the academic year 2019-20, pre-COVID and post-COVID, and whether the companies are converting these opportunities into work from home opportunities now?
Thank you ma'am for the question. So I would like to give you a background as to how the campus placements happen. We generally start anywhere between December onwards, mainly from January to March. We finish all the campus placements across colleges in Mumbai, and thereafter the exams are generally scheduled. So it has to be finished by March. So this year also we had successfully completed the campus in couple of colleges, and lot of offers were released. Lot of interviews had happened. In some cases, the interview process could not be completed because there are couple of rounds which happen. So the interview process has come to a standstill post-COVID. In terms of the offers which were already released, yes, again, lot of them have been either kept on hold or they have been even cancelled. Some cases the offer was to be rolled out, the selection was also done, but again the offer is not going to be released by most companies, as they are saying, unless the situation becomes normal, and they will take time to decide. Coming to a second question on whether they are being converted into work from home. So to this, what has happened that these are all freshers, 2020 batch students and 21 who are the undergraduates looking for internships. All of them join in the month of April, May, June, once their exams get over, depending on which stream they are from. So because the pandemic hit us just before their exams, they have not been able to complete their exams also, plus their joining also did not happen. So work from home has been offered by very few companies for a couple of reasons which I can list down. Number one, obviously, is the business has got affected big time. They are already trying to manage their existing employees work from home. So having new people join with lesser business and losses being incurred is something they are not willing to do. Secondly, the second thing is that work from home requires a lot of constant monitoring and constant follow up with the joinees, especially when their induction is not done, because they were all freshers. Their induction was not done, training was not done. So to help them with the entire process in a virtual platform becomes very difficult. So that is the second reason. Third reason is lack of infrastructure available with the candidates themselves. They may not possess laptop or computers at their residence, so it is getting difficult for the companies to give them work. And because this happened suddenly, obviously the company could not even make them available with laptops, office laptops in most cases. right? So that is one of the reasons. Confidentiality issue is the fourth reason, where companies cannot have people work from home, especially the freshers in lot of cases. And the fifth point is that people do not I mean they cannot work from home in case it requires a physical presence, like field sales, or there is a face-to-face interaction, customer front office roles. There is nothing much which can be done in a work from home scenario. So in those cases, again, work from home has not been opted by the company. So this is what the scenario is in terms of the pre and post COVID jobs and internships offered. So ma'am, could you share your experience in your college for jobs and internships pre and post COVID, and how long you have been associated with this college?
I joined SIES College of Commerce and Economics 5 years ago as assistant professor in Bachelor of Management Studies. And when I joined the college, I found that the placements are going on quite good. However, there was not much focus on internships. Only a handful of students, so say about 10 students per year, used to do internships voluntarily. And out of my own past personal experience, I find that internships are very useful to students.
Right.
I started encouraging students to go and look for internships. At the same time, I started contacting various companies and asking them to offer internships to our students. And it did bear fruit. In the year 2017, the internship cell of the college was formally constituted, and I was appointed as the chairperson of the internship cell. And since then, the average number of students per year doing internships is risen to 150. So it's a quantum leap from 10 students to 150 students per year. Now, going by your question about how has been the internships due to this coronavirus pandemic, so as you rightly pointed out, many companies came with offers. However, offers had to be revoked. Some of the companies started with selection process, but this processes got stalled in between. Some of the companies were finalized. Their candidates, they had to take back the offers and joining could not be done. So yes, it has become a difficult scenario. The good thing is many of the companies have understood the scenario and are offering work from home internships for the students. Going ahead, Namita, could you tell us what are the general challenges in selection of students for internships and placement, and whether these have increased post-COVID?
Very relevant question. So, there are two things which are there. One is a lack of available jobs, and the second is non-selection of students. The first thing is beyond the control of the students, but on the second thing, there is a lot which students can do. In every college, you would concur with me that a very small percentage of students get selected out of the total number of students, in spite of openings being there and vacancies being there in the organization. So some of the reasons why the selection does not happen are these. Number one, lack of professional resume and interview skills. Students at graduation level either put too much of information or too less information, no formatting of the resume, they lack the confidence, they are not able to answer the basic interview standard questions as well, which leads to non-selection. Second is lack of technical skills which are required in each job based on the profile. The third point is lack of right attitude. And the fourth point is non-responsiveness. Again, this is a challenge which a lot of colleges are facing, that in spite of opportunities being there, students don't turn up, students do not apply for the opportunities which the college is offering to them. So here students should realize that they are getting lot of things within their college premises, and they should value it and try to give as many interviews as possible, because they will also learn in the process. And at the same time, if they are selected, it will be a very good opportunity, because immediately after their graduation or after their exams, they will be able to join, and the learning will be immense, whether it is a job or internship, and also it will benefit them economically. So
Right.
on the general things, now post COVID, what has happened, obviously the manpower demand will go down for a couple of months before things normalize. So what is more important is that people upgrade their skills. Now, as I already said, that point number 3, selection of candidates is in their hands to the extent of the jobs available. So they have to focus on upgradation of their skills. Also, there would be an increase in the demand for freelancers and interns to save the costs in a couple of months. This is based on my discussion with a lot of corporates. They would prefer a freelancer who works based on the assignment rather than having a fixed cost of a full-time employee. So for all these things, also the company will value the skills of the candidate they are hiring. If the value was earlier given as 7 on 10, it may now become 9 on 10 for the skill set of the candidate. So the student should not get demotivated at this point in time, and just leverage on the situation to upgrade their skills.
Right. In fact, the skill upgradation applies not only to students, but even most of the corporate employees are using this time to
Right.
upgrade their skills.
Right.
And the faculties are attending a lot of webinars and other kinds of programs to upgrade our own teaching skills and our knowledge. So yes, being a lockdown, this is the best time we
Right.
all have with us in hand to undertake this kind of skill upgradation.
Correct.
Could you throw some light on the soft skills which the companies look for, and how can they be acquired by the students?
So soft skills are basically one of the major point which is seen by most of the companies is communication skills, irrespective of the profile, whether it is something to do with a lot of talking or whether it is a back office job. Communication skills are very important, because you have to communicate with your colleagues, with your seniors, juniors, clients, and other stakeholders. So at all point in time, the communication has to be there, and for that, English is in most cases the language of communication. I personally think that it is not wrong on the part of the companies to expect students in a city like Mumbai to know decent English. We are not talking about any fancy English, but at least grammatically good English is expected from them, because they are from English medium schools and colleges in most cases. So it's just for them to pay more attention on the language, and wherever they think that they are not up to the mark, they have to work upon it. That's the only thing, because this is not going to be possible overnight that their English will become good. They have to keep on practicing, and once their language is improved, their confidence thing will also automatically come in. So a lot of things will automatically fall in place if communication skills are good. On one more point on soft skills is attitude, which I also covered in the earlier question. So attitude, how do they check? It is about the willingness to work. That has to come, that keenness to work, and it should not be just like a compulsory कि धक्का दे दिया है टीचर ने इसके लिए हम इंटरव्यू के लिए आ गए या पेरेंट्स ने धक्का दे दिया, right? So it's very important that that willingness to learn is demonstrated in the interview. Secondly, they should be flexible enough, because a lot of students have a lot of criteria while they go for interviews, in terms of not being ready to travel within the western line also, or not ready to sit for a few hours late. This is the learning phase, and I think they should be just flexible and given their best, just like they given their best for studies. Nobody would say that don't study more. Same way I tell all the new candidates that don't block your mind by saying that I don't want to work more. It's always going to benefit you in the long run.
So speaking of skills, can you also elaborate on the hard skills which companies look for and how these can be acquired by students?
Sure. So on this hard skills, depending on the area in which they are, it will vary to some extent. Some of the common hard skills are the computer skills, right? Everything majorly happens on computers unless it's a field work job, which again boils down to making reports in computer. So computer skills would include your Word, Excel, PPT. These are and email writing. Again, students lack a lot in this. They know how to do their WhatsApp. They know messaging with a lot of short forms, but they have forgotten the formal mode of communication, which is email. So that is important. If you are an accounting student, then your fundamentals have to be strong. Accounting, direct tax, GST, tally, all these things you have to know. Now, how do you learn these? So, to begin with, you have to explore. Just like you have self-learned your Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and TikTok, YouTube. Nobody has given you any formal training for that. Even shopping portals like say Amazon, Flipkart, everyone and especially the new generation learns it by exploring. So same way these softwares are easily available in your phone also, as well as if you have a laptop and desktop. So please explore it once thoroughly and see what are the options. That will be one step you can take. Secondly, you can go for various online and offline courses which are available, free as well as paid, depending on the complexity of the matter. If it is a very technical subject matter, you should avoid going for any googling, like if it's a GST or TDS, you should go for some authentic and reliable courses for the same. We will also be sharing some of the links for so ma'am, on this I was thinking that your college also has been in the forefront and has been taking a lot of steps to improvise the soft and hard skills of the students. So if you could tell us more what initiatives the college has taken in last few years.
So at SIS College of Commerce and Economics, we have been running a certificate course in Tally for the past couple of years, and it has been getting a good response from students. Now, after the change in the indirect tax regime of our country and introduction of GST, so we also launched a certificate course in GST for our students. And again, it got a good response, and hence we went ahead and even launched a diploma in GST. Along with this, we have been conducting various seminars for our students on topics like Blue Ocean Strategy, inappropriate behavior at workplace, leadership in crisis, personal branding, digital marketing. We have had various elocution competitions, debate competitions to improve the students' communication skills. We have case study competitions, PowerPoint competition on the union budget, various field visits, educational tours, and at internship cell this year, we had a workshop on Google Analytics. We had CV writing and interview skill sessions for students. And in fact, this year we launched a pilot initiative that is Best Intern Contest to encourage students to go in more and more for internships.
That's a good thing. I think colleges are doing whatever it takes to improvise the skills and push the students. Now it's up to the students to realize and make a good career for themselves. So on this, I had one more question, that the Mumbai University has also been changing their syllabus. So if you could tell that whether the change in syllabus or the curriculum has been in line with the corporate requirements.
Yes, so Mumbai University upgrades its syllabus about every 5 years, and during the last 5 years also syllabus upgradations have been done. A major change which happened in the syllabus is the change in the subject of indirect tax, keeping in line with the change in indirect taxation system of India. So GST has been introduced in the syllabus. Along with this, various elective subjects have been introduced in the various courses.
Okay.
So Mumbai University from its own side is responsive to the changes in the economy and the requirements of the corporates. But yes, still there is a lot which can be done and which needs to be done.
Sure. So, ma'am, another question which is related to this is that a lot of colleges are becoming autonomous or have already become autonomous. So, how do you see this changing the skill gap scenario in the way forward?
So autonomy basically gives two powers, I would say, to the individual colleges. One is power to frame their own syllabus, and other is to determine their own evaluation patterns. So
Okay.
coming to syllabus, it all depends on how much each individual college revamps its syllabus. Colleges which undertake major upgradation, keeping in line with the corporate requirements, definitely students in those colleges will benefit. However, on the other hand, there are also colleges which are making this minor or cosmetic changes to the syllabus. So definitely that will not help the students much. On the other hand, coming to assessments, um, BCom currently has 100 marks theoretical semester end exam. In case of self-financing, it is 75 marks semester end theory paper and about 20 marks internal theory paper again. So there is not much scope of skill building and soft skills training in this kind of a evaluation pattern. In case of autonomous colleges, they can include various experiential types of activities such as role plays, case studies, internships, field trips, field work as part of their assessment system of students. And definitely this would be very useful to students if the autonomous colleges implement it in this manner. So basically it all depends on how each individual college uses its autonomous status in terms of syllabus and also in terms of assessments.
Right.
Namita, I would like to ask you the next question, that is, do you think internship should be made compulsory for students?
Yeah. So this, I personally think maybe students may not like me for saying this, but I do personally think that internship should be made compulsory. Just like it is compulsory for MBA students, why do MBA students have a edge? Because because of their degree, what they learn, and also because they do this mandatory internship. Now the period of internship varies from right from 2 months to 6 months compulsory depending on the college and their timings. I have a lot of colleges these days who have a 6 months to even 1 year compulsory. One of the MBA colleges has 1 year internship as compulsory. So this thing will help the students only in the long run. They will appreciate it in the long run. But to begin with, yes, it should be made compulsory. And to give you an example, why do colleges have attendance being compulsory to the extent of 75%? It is because the human nature is such that unless it is made compulsory, they will take it lightly. Even the current situation which is there, because it is a compulsion to stay at home, people are abiding by it with a few exceptions. But if that is not the case, nobody will follow it, even if it is for their own benefit. So compulsion is necessary, and in the long run they will definitely appreciate that this has helped them. They are in the what is your perspective on internships being made compulsory?
I'd like to answer. So during my graduation years, I worked as a telecaller for one of the corporate event companies. The purpose of me joining that was to get some kind of a corporate exposure, learn the corporate etiquette, learn of corporate processes. And during that era, that is around 15 years ago, when I did this vacation job, internships were not really popular among undergraduate students.
Right.
But still, I went ahead with it, and yes, it was a learning experience for me. Again, during my MBA, I worked as a summer intern for one of the infrastructure companies in their corporate finance division. And some of the work which was allotted to me there was about working capital sanction letters, bank guarantees, complying with certain FDI uh, documentation with the RBI. Now, these are things which you wouldn't really learn in a classroom or in an online course. You learn these things only by doing. Also, I would like to highlight here that the experience which I had in these two vacation activities did not directly help me in my first employment, as the job profile was quite different, though it was in finance and accounts domain only. However, it did help me directly and indirectly in various other aspects in my personal and professional life. So what I would like to highlight here to students is not to give up on an internship opportunity which you are getting by thinking that it may not be relevant to you or it is not in your area of interest. Please go ahead with whatever internship opportunities you get, because the experience you gain here will definitely help you somewhere or the other in your corporate life as well as in your personal life. If you get something which is aligned to your career goals, definitely that is the best to go for. But even if you do not get something which is exactly what you want, do take up anything else which you are capable of, because it will definitely help you somewhere or the other.
Right, that's a good way of encouraging the student by sharing your own experience. That's a nice thing. Now let's see how students take this advice seriously or not.
Namita, could you guide the students on how can students find jobs and internships where the offers have been cancelled?
Right. So in that case, my first suggestion would be that you should approach the employer who had selected you and convey to that employer in writing that we understand that the offer has been revoked, but I am keen to join your organization and I'm ready to put in the extra efforts. And if there are any challenges, I'm ready to overcome those challenges. In terms of salary also, you should go suo moto on your own benefit, and if they are ready to absorb you and they see that keenness which I said earlier also, they may continue your offer with the same salary, or whenever the market normalizes, you will be their first preference. If they have to now hire 5 people instead of 20 people, you will be among those top 5 candidates.
So talking about LinkedIn, uh, is LinkedIn useful to students to get jobs and internships, and how can students leverage LinkedIn?
Right. So LinkedIn is like the professional Facebook. So it is important that students have their account if they are serious about their career as an intern or as a graduate. They should create their account on LinkedIn. It's not very difficult, just like they have managed to make their Facebook account, but there is just a reluctance that why should I do it? You should open your account. There are a lot of opportunities which keep coming over there. You can yourself pitch and in your timeline that you're looking for a job and internship in this particular area, and reach out to your network and connections on LinkedIn. And definitely through references also, there is a good chance that you would land up with some good opportunity if you leverage your LinkedIn, because very few people are anyways there on LinkedIn as a graduate. So the moment you are there on LinkedIn itself shows that you are having an edge and you are serious about your work.
Could you share some tips with students on how can they perform well after joining an internship or a job?
Right. So the first and foremost is obviously their skill upgradation has to be constant. You have to be a lifetime learner. Not that you have now got the job, so it does not matter whether you know or you don't know. Please don't have that perspective, because it will affect your work efficiency, and the seniors know it very well. They are going to evaluate your performance. So keep upgrading your soft skills and technical skills even when you have got hired. Secondly, always take initiative. Initiative to initiative to find the things on your own. If any task is allocated to you, try to find the solution by yourself, by reading the things which are available to you, by using Google, and not always rely on the senior to spoon feed you. Take that initiative of exploring things on your own to the extent possible, and then you can always go to the senior with your understanding and ask him to confirm whether your understanding is right. So instead of asking what to do, the WH question, make it a yes no question, saying that this is what I think I have to do based on your instructions. Please confirm if this is right, which will save the time of the senior when he has to just say yes, no, and make some corrections vis-a-vis explaining you the entire thing in detail.
Correct, because now under this work from home scenario, even the corporate employees are under a lot of pressure. They are also adapting to this new method of working, and it would be somewhat difficult for them to give a lot of time and effort behind the new joinees or the interns. So it is important also for the interns or the new joinees to make the process much simpler and easier for their mentors. So yes, as you pointed out, going to them with WH questions rather than asking them for detailed guidance would definitely help to easen out the situation and save time for both the parties involved. So going ahead, could you suggest some common questions which commerce students can expect in interviews?
Yeah. So these are very, very basic. Maybe most of you know this, but I will just list down some of the questions. The first question would be, tell me about yourself, which is very basic, but at the same time, it demonstrates your confidence about your own self and what all do you cover in that, how comprehensive you are and how convincing you are. Second question is, tell me about the company. Company would want to know what is your research about the company for which you have applied. You cannot go blank to this question, and this is actually a practical thing which we have faced with lot of students, that they come to the company and they're like, no, we don't know anything about the company. They would just randomly come, especially in a campus placement style where they are just coming to different companies without having read about it properly. Third question is, tell me about your knowledge of the JD. So that is job description. Again, to the extent it is available with them, they should try to give their understanding to the company rather than saying that I'm not very clear, I don't know exactly what it is, and putting the question back in the court of the interviewer. They should give their understanding of the job description which has been provided to them earlier. Fourth would be why they want to join that internship and what is their expectation from the internship or the job, as the case may be. Fifth would be, are they okay to travel to client places, travel till the company location, because sometimes even though the candidate has applied for a company in Churchgate, when he is sitting across the interview table, he would say, no, I'm not okay with traveling, or there will be some kind of reluctance on his face, based on which the company will understand that the candidate might not join later. Another question would be that, are you okay with the timings? Are you okay with late sittings if there is work pressure? So to these questions, you be mentally prepared. If you are having really some genuine reason, then there can be a negative answer. Otherwise, you have to answer positively and demonstrate that you are really looking forward to work with that organization. Next would be all the technical questions which are surrounding that profile, which would be accounting related, taxation, tally, HR, marketing related, some situational questions as to how would you sell a product. So those will be a technical questions, which can be a big list.
I'm sure these small pointers that you have given students will be useful to them, and students should prepare well for all these questions before appearing for any interview. Namita, the other day you were telling me about some ways in which students can acquire some skills in a fun way in their day-to-day life. So could you throw some light on these?
Nice that you brought this up. Actually, I have a list of these small things which they can do in their day-to-day life, which will help them learn a lot of skills. I'll just read it out. So you should make a rule among your friends to speak in English, and if any one of them deviates, there should be a penalty. They should put that money in the kitty, and then they may use it for some purpose, or the other person has to treat the other friend, something like that. They can have a fun way of making it compulsory to speak in English with their friends or even their family members if possible. They should make Excel in their day-to-day life for things like making a home expenditure Excel with all the heads, subheads, and the expenses. Use different formula, do the formatting, and that will try to help you in doing your household work also, and you will learn Excel also. You can make your shopping list in Excel. You can use Word. Another way of doing it is you can use Word, Excel, as well as PPT to make your study notes. Lot of students who are watching would be students who have to give their exams. So I understand you have to prepare for your exams. At the same time, you have the pressure to upgrade your skills. So you can combine the both by making your notes, instead of handwritten notes, you make it in these software, so that you get at least some glimpse of what are the different options which are there to make a chart or make a table or make a list of different points, important points for revision. That is one of the things you can do. If you are interested in marketing, you can design some e-birthday cards. You can design some invitation cards, not using ready to use software necessarily, but some better softwares like say a Canva or Post-My-Wall, Photoshop, Corel Draw. If you want to go little more in depth, you can use photo editing and video editing softwares to make certain creative things in your day-to-day life, so that the same skill set can be used when you are doing marketing in a professional setup. Right? This could be one. Make a timetable of what you want to do each day. Now, very few days are left already. I think a lot of time has gone of the lockdown, and you must be you thinking that I will be doing next day. मैं कल कुछ करता हूँ, अभी थोड़ा time pass करते हैं, Netflix करते हैं, this and that. But now I think very few days are left. Your exams will also be eventually coming. So make a proper timetable as to what you have to do each day, how much time for studies, how much time you have to put in for some self-learning, and what are the skills you want to acquire. Make a list and then allocate the time and identify how you want to use your time each day, so that at the end of the lockdown, you are not in a situation where you just the time flew away and you did not do anything substantial. Another point, yeah, very nice thing which you can do, which I personally do. I know the household work has increased now. So while you are cooking or you are washing utensils, what you can do is you can play a YouTube video in the background. So till the time you finish your course, there is in the background you can have a good YouTube video or any course which you are pursuing, that can be in the background, which does not require necessarily viewing it, which is an audio focused video that can be put in the background, so that you can hear the entire thing and also complete your other activities. Try to be part of the extracurricular activities in your college, because that will help you a lot in many aspects. Your group team, team working thing will improvise, interaction, communication skills immensely will improve in extracurricular activities which happen in your college, various festivals, various societies, competitions which happen, do participate in that, because this college life you may or may not get it again unless you are doing a post graduation. You should try, depending on your financials, you should try to invest in a second hand laptop or desktop, because though I said that a lot of things can be done in your mobile, but it's always good to have a desktop or a laptop. Second hand also does not come at a very high cost, so try to buy that, and you can always share it among your friends. 2 or 3 friends can invest into one laptop, and you can then use it among each other, divide the days, and try to explore different software. That can also be done. One of the things is that you have to delete "I am a fresher, I am a complete fresher" from your dictionary. This is one of the excuses which often comes in interviews. Please don't use those words, because that shows that you have a block, that I'm a fresher, I'm not supposed to know these things. It's not the case. If the interviewer has asked you any question, obviously he knows that what is your qualification, and he knows that you're a fresher. Still, if he's asking you that question, it is expected for you to know it. So rather than saying that you do not know, because you're a fresher, you either acquire it, or you say that I am in the process of learning that skill set. So to end this question, I would say that swimming cannot be learned by watching people swim. You have to jump into the water. But you can learn swimming faster if you have seen people swimming, or you have seen videos of people swimming. Obviously, it will help you to grasp that skill faster. So in this scenario also, you should upgrade your skills so that you can work in an efficient manner and make your career successful.
I'm sure your words of wisdom will help the students make a bright future for themselves. And I've come here to the end of my questions. Anything which you would like to ask, or we can end the session?
No, I think I'm also done sharing my experience, and thanks a lot, ma'am, for joining in this discussion. And I would ask all the students and all the faculty members who watch this video, if you find it useful, to share it among others. And any queries you have, please, you can write it in the comment section below, and we will get back to you. We will also leave our contact details in the comment section so that you can contact us personally for any queries. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Thanks, Namita.